Are they still fighting?
They are still fighting.
Okay.
That notwithstanding, I don't have any recollection of the detective being questioned or talking about his ability to interpret lyrics as part of his expertise.
And we are back, and we are back. Thank everybody for watching this video. Go ahead and hit that like button for us. It helps us out a lot, and you know it helps you because it helps us. Now today, y'all, we have Detective Dennis back on the stand. You may remember Detective Dennis as the partner to Detective Gaither, who both of them were gang unit supposed experts. I only say supposed because that's going to come up. It's going to be called into question today. Also, you're going to see a wild strip club fight, just crazy. And you're also going to see the question of lyrics come back into question as to whether or not they can be used against the defendants in this trial. Today, experimenting with a totally different way of presenting the comments without having the background kind of all discombobulated. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about this new way, this new format. Y'all, I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to, again, tell you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to view a video and the fight that or whatever it is that the witnesses testifying about occurred at a place that is a strip club. And so while that is not why the video is being shown, you're going to see some images that are things one might see at a strip club. So be prepared.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as the jurors of the trial. 543Y. Is that a copy of that video that you pulled as a part of your investigation?
Yes.
You know, this time stay with like the tender and admit and publish this with 543Y.
All right. I'm sorry, 543Y. That's admitted. You may.
Just orient the jury where they need to be looking to see the fight in the video.
In this first video, you're going to see an individual walk right to here. Mr. Arnold is right there, and the video will pretty much do it.
Y Yankee 1 for the record. Now publishing 543 Yankee 2.
It's going to be the same, but just a different angle. This is going to fight. It's going to begin, and then this is where it's going to spill over into.
Are they still fighting?
They are still fighting.
Okay. One minute and 28 seconds. Now, when you spoke with Mr. Kendrick about this incident, was he read his, you said he was arrested, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was he read his Miranda warnings?
Yes.
When you met with Mr. Kendrick, who all was in the room with you when you met with Mr. Kendrick?
Detective Thorpe, Sergeant Gaither, and myself.
All right. And when you went to go speak with him, did he agree to speak with you all?
Yes.
Okay. Did he appear to have any learning disability?
No.
Did he appear to be intoxicated or otherwise incapacitated?
No.
Did he appear to be sick?
No.
Where did you all interview Mr. Kendrick?
Atlanta Police Headquarters.
Court's indulgence.
Yes.
If this line of questioning is going to continue, can we have that same limiting instruction that you gave yesterday?
Yes, and in fact, let's go ahead and take our morning break.
Now, in September of 2015, as a part of your investigation, did you investigate any shootings in which Mr. Shannon Stillwell was the victim of the shooting?
Yes.
How many such shootings was a part of your kind of investigation?
2.
When, do you recall when in September both of those took place?
The first was September 13th from I don't know the actual address, I just know it as the Green Store.
Okay. And then when was the second?
The Tierra Jones murder investigation.
And did the Green Store shooting happen before the Tierra Jones homicide?
Yes.
And was there anyone ever apprehended for the Green Store shooting?
No.
Okay. What about for Tierra Jones?
Yes.
All right. Initially, do you know who arrest warrants were taken out?
Yes.
Taken out. Who?
Kelvin Watts, Bobby Hardy, and Jamal Ward.
And later on, do you know if there were specific people, was there anyone not charged out of those 3?
Say that again?
Out of the initial 3, Dominique Carter, Bobby Hardy,
No.
Bobby Hardy, Jamal Ward, and Kelvin Watts, were any of them not actually indicted for that offense?
Kelvin Watts was not indicted, and then Dominique Carter was charged.
Okay. And does Dominique Carter have a nickname?
Stewie.
What about Bobby Hardy?
Smoke.
And what about Jamal?
Merle.
Okay. And are any of them affiliated with a gang?
All of them are associated with IF gang.
Now, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard yesterday, and maybe prior to that as well, sometimes evidence is admitted against some parties and not others, or for some counts and not others. And when this happens, the evidence can be considered by you, the jury, only as to the party against whom it's offered and only for the count for which it's offered, and not against any other defendant or for any other count or purpose. In the next part of the testimony of this witness, you're going to hear about a statement made by Defendant Diamante Kendrick. You may consider that statement only against Mr. Kendrick and only as to count 1. You may not consider this statement as to any other count, and you may not consider it in any way at all in determining the guilt or innocence of any other defendant in this case besides Mr. Kendrick.
Thank you, Your Honor. When you met with Mr. Kendrick was he read his Miranda warnings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I think where I left off is you said that you had, the interview was at the Atlanta Police Headquarters?
Yes.
Sitting here today, do you remember about what time of day you spoke with Mr. Kendrick?
Middle of the day, I guess.
Speak up. You said,
Middle of the day, I guess. I'm not sure.
were there portions of the interview where you took breaks?
Yes.
Right. You said you read his, did you read the Miranda warnings or did another investigator read it in the room?
I'm not sure.
Did you all read it from a card or did you have a sheet of paper that you read it
We
from?
usually give them a sheet and allow them to read it. We ask them their highest level of education, have them initial it and sign it.
Did he ever ask you to repeat anything when you were going over his rights?
Not that I recall.
Did you ever threaten Mr. Kendrick to get him to speak with you?
No.
Did you ever promise him anything to get him to speak with you?
No.
Did you tell him about the charges for which he was charged with on that day?
I believe Detective Thorpe did.
At any point, did he waive, well, initially when you spoke to him, did he waive his rights?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. It's commenting on my client's right to maintain his silence.
Sustained.
We were trying to establish the voluntariness of.
Come up to the bench.
Okay. After reading it, he understood his rights. He agreed to speak with you.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me just given that clarification, it sounds like it was just a misunderstanding, but let me just let the jury know that every defendant, every accused, everybody who ever is a suspect in a crime has a right to remain silent, doesn't have to talk to the police, and if they choose to remain silent, it is wildly inappropriate to comment on that. However, this was just a misunderstanding, so we're not going to worry about that. All right, go ahead.
When you spoke with Mr. Kendrick, did you speak with him about a fight that occurred at Club Crucial?
Yes.
And specifically, did you speak with him about a fight that happened at Club Crucial after Kenneth Copeland was beat up at Club Crucial?
Yes.
And was that fight somewhere around January 6th of 2015?
Yes.
And specifically, did he talk about his involvement in fighting an individual by the name of Bloody J?
Yes.
What did he tell you about his involvement in fighting Bloody J?
That when they got outside, he was the one that punched Bloody J.
And again, this is all after Kenneth Copeland was beat up inside of the club.
Correct.
During the course of your speaking with Mr. Kendrick, did he talk to you about any conflict or tension he had with an individual by the name of Rich Homie Quan?
Yes.
What did he tell you about the tension or conflict that he had with Rich Homie Quan?
He spoke about he had went to a club. I don't remember the exact date. And when he walked in, he saw Rich Homie Quan, and Rich Homie Quan, cousin or something. No one said nothing to him when he walked in. And then once he got to a certain area, he spoke of how Rich Homie Quan began pointing at him. And his cousin or something had pulled him to the side and basically said, don't do that yet. Don't do that. And he basically explained that he was just there, but he could see how everyone was kind of positioning themselves. And initially he wanted to leave, but he didn't want to look like he was basically scared or something, so he stayed. But it was basically tension in there.
Was this before or after January 10, 2015?
This was after.
The incident that he was telling you about was after?
Yes.
When you spoke with Mr. Kendrick, did he acknowledge a beef between YSL and If Gang?
Yes.
Did he ever speak with you about his desire or wanting to be a member of the Bloods?
Yes.
In speaking with Mr. Kendrick, did he ever appear to be confused about his understanding what a gang was?
No.
During the course of the interview, did he talk about gang banging or being a part of a gang?
Yes.
During your interview, did he ever claim to no longer be a part of a gang?
He basically spoke about moving on past that as the music was starting to take off, and he basically indicated that he felt like he was a nobody. He didn't respect the gang culture of having like leaders or different stuff like that, and he basically said he deemed himself a Blood, so he started being a Blood.
Did he talk with you about this incident following the fight that we just viewed a few moments ago?
Yes.
What was he able to tell you about what happened following that fight at Club Crucial? Excuse me, at Magic City.
He basically told us how he was filming a video that day, and it kind of fell through. And he got high, had some lean, and was kind of having a bad day. And then his friend, Duke, called him, basically telling them that they just jumped. And he was like, pull up on me. And so they met up somewhere.
Well, hold on. You said pull up on me. What does that mean?
Meet me somewhere. And basically they met somewhere, and he felt like it wasn't his beef, but he's almost coming to the aid of his friend. And so they came up with the idea of going to retaliate.
And when they were stopped, where were they stopped? Where did they see the police at initially?
Trestle Tree Apartments.
And what's the significance of Trestle Tree Apartment?
Trestle Tree is a strong, like a main hangout for Kelvin Watts and If Gang members.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been admitted as 27 DD. Now, did they ever make it to Trestle Tree? They being Mr. Arnold and Mr. Kendrick.
They made it to Trestle Tree, but there was a large police presence, and so they attempted to leave Trestle Tree. And according to Mr. Kendricks, he didn't know his way around over there, and so they had to make a U-turn. When they made the U-turn, that alerted police, and that's how the chase initiated or started.
And did he talk to you about the guns that were found in the vehicle?
Yes.
And did he advise to you which gun was his?
Yes.
And do you remember today which gun he said that was his?
Initially, he spoke about he had just purchased the stick, which would be the long gun.
Okay.
And then he was the driver, and so the handgun, I believe, was found in the driver's area.
During that interview, did you speak with him about the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Yes.
And I'm asking you specifically, did he ever tell you where he whether or not he can remember where he was on the night that Donovan Thomas was murdered?
I believe he did.
Do you remember where he said he was?
I don't. I think he said he was at his girlfriend's house.
And do you know the name of that girlfriend?
Busha. Busha.
Okay. Now, as you did your investigation over that span of investigating the incidents between January of 2015, at some point 2015, did your investigation conclude?
It never really concluded. Our unit was tasked with stopping crime. Our unit was on the floor with our chief. Anytime there was a significant incident, they reached out to our unit to assist. Homicide usually dealt with if there was a murder, but gangs usually dealt with what led up to the murder, and what was coming afterwards. So we were tasked with different assignments or different incidents.
Okay. And towards the end of 2015, did you deem this gang war between YFN and YSL Operation Planters?
I didn't deem it, but that was it, became named.
And at some point during the end of 2015, what was kind of the result of Operation Planters, or what kind of happened?
I'm waiting for a response.
Can I?
Yeah,
No, not from
not from you. Your Honor, we believe that is going to be relevant as to how they moved on and kind of ended this portion of the investigation.
Sustained.
All right. Let me ask you this. When initially, was Kenneth Copeland the target? Did it appear as if Kenneth Copeland was the target of YFN in the early months of January 2015?
Yes.
At any point, did it appear that that target shifted to anyone else?
Relevance and speculation.
Sustained.
Now, I want to transition and transfer into music. As a gang investigator, has music ever become part of your investigations?
Yes.
Tell the jury, how does music become a part of your investigations?
In gang culture and in rap music, a lot of times some of the artists either highlight, taunt, or humiliate their opposition through music. And I think it's part entertainment, but from the position of an investigator.
I'm going to object from the position of investigator.
Well, I can.
This is not relevant from the position of investigator to go to what the jury is hearing about the allegations.
Speak as your expertise as a gang expert.
You want me to repeat what I just?
No.
Your Honor, I'm also going to object. This is outside of his expertise as a gang expert. Now we're talking about musicology and lyrics, and that is outside his expertise.
Overruled.
I think you can continue.
As rephrased by you.
Okay. As a gang expert, tell the jury how music can sometimes be involved in gang culture and rap, and how those two can coincide.
In gang culture and rap music is sometimes used to taunt, humiliate, and highlight some of their actions or to humiliate their opposition. A lot of times it's almost as if no one knows about it, then it didn't happen. So it's an opportunity to showcase what we did or to highlight what we did.
Objection on commenting on someone's intent, Your Honor. 704.
Sustained.
So don't what have you found? Let me ask you this. You talked about sometimes music can highlight, taunt, and humiliate. How have you seen examples of that as you've investigated, as a gang investigator? How have you seen that type of highlighting, taunting, and humiliation in music?
You said, how have I seen it?
Yes.
For example, the song Get It Back in Blood. Get It Back in Blood is basically celebrating retaliation, illustrating to anybody that I'm going to get it back in blood. You do something to me, I'm going to retaliate to get it back in blood. And it basically spells it out in the song.
And as a law enforcement officer, or a gang investigator specifically, when you're doing your investigation, do you look for music and then start your investigation, or are you investigating crime?
Action asked and answered previously.
Well, I don't know the answer to that because I wasn't here when he testified previously.
I don't recall specifically. That's all I'll say. I can't recall if he specifically talked about it. I don't recall.
Do you recall whether you already talked about this?
Judge, I've been here 3 times. I don't. I'm trying to keep up myself.
Okay, well, yeah. Why don't you just, if you need to hit that briefly, to
Just
go
very
ahead and
quickly.
do that.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you, when you're investigating, do you look for music and say, let me investigate this person, or does the music somehow come a part of the investigation?
Relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
We don't chase music, we chase crime. And through our investigation, all things are on the table. My job, when I work...
To what his job is, Your Honor, this is not appropriate.
Okay. In a song, when you may listen to a song that might have evidence of whether it's a crime or what you call highlighting, taunting, or humiliation, is the entire song often the subject of the humiliation, taunting, and highlighting, or might there be certain portions?
In order to the characterization of question, evidence, perhaps information.
Sustained.
When you're hearing a song, does the entire song always humiliate, taunt, and highlight, or could there be portions of the song that humiliate, taunt, and highlight?
Just a portion. It might be a subliminal message, a small snippet.
704, Your Honor. It's the same thing, the intent.
Overruled.
And talk to the jury a little bit about subliminal messaging and how that can, what that looks like in a song.
Beyond expertise. We never had a Daubert hearing on this.
Yes, we did.
Not
Your
on
Honor,
this.
I have the Daubert order.
All right, we didn't have to take either a break or approach.
Ms. Hilton said something about that.
No, that was me, sorry. There's a rough of the court's ruling at the very least on the Daubert hearing, but I don't know that we have a rough of the actual hearing.
And we have our notes, we're checking right now.
All right, and
YouTube. We're looking.
everybody knew, right, that the state was at least going to offer Investigator Dennis to testify about the lyrics, right?
I did. But what I was not aware of.
This just seems like the kind of thing that if y'all wanted the court to be having looked at this, you could have given me a heads up on.
I was unaware that there would be testimony as to, oh, this is decoded messages. That was never
Well, all
discussed.
right, no, but I ruled on that, and I sustained the objection on that, and Ms. Hilton understands that. So on the broader topic of is he even qualified to testify about lyrics as a part of gang investigations, which I understand y'all now asserting that was never covered.
I'm not asserting that. What I understood was Detective Dennis, over objection, would testify, in this song, this is said. This lyric is said. That's what I believe the lyric is. That's the lyric in this song.
Right.
That's it. Now we're getting into, oh, we're sending messages.
No, we're not going to.
I understand. But that's what I was objecting
She's not,
to.
right. And so is there any other objection to him being able to testify about using lyrics in his investigations, in his opinion, which is only his opinion, as to what significance that has to his investigations?
Well, I'm not waiving my objections because I've objected to it, but that's what I believed was going to be testified to. But just that
Understood, but I'm
limited
asking,
amount.
it seemed at the bench that some people were maybe saying, we don't believe that he was ever qualified as an expert to be able to testify to any extent about lyrics. If I'm just misunderstanding, then please correct me, but we don't need to find the hearing transcript and sort it out if y'all aren't maintaining that.
I don't think that you're incorrect. I think you're correct. That's what we said at the
Okay.
bench. And just, don't want to seem like we're being cagey about it, but it was in December of 2022.
Okay,
when we
well,
had the Daubert hearings.
it may be
just-
that the easier thing to do is to just bring him in and do this little part of it now. I don't mind doing that if y'all,
I don't want to speak for everyone else. If there is a rough of the finding
I
in the
don't know.
Daubert, perhaps that might be
Oh,
helpful.
I've looked at the finding. That doesn't,
Well, not
that-
the order.
It's the ruling.
Okay.
It appears to be just the ruling, not the actual hearing itself. I can email that to everybody.
I'm not sure.
That might be helpful.
Well, y'all can certainly look at it, but that won't take very long. And then if anybody wants, we can just have him come testify outside the jury's presence, and I'll make a determination as to whether he has the necessary expertise to be able to testify in the way that was about to be asked.
And Your Honor, to be clear, it's not about the lyrics, it's about gang promotion in the music. So it's not specifically about, I think maybe Mr. Weinstein said musicology. We're not talking about.
I know that, which is why I overruled that objection. A rough of the Daubert hearing. What we've got a rough of so far is some of his trial testimony. So I'm going to recess for a few minutes. It looks like y'all are maybe trying to pull it up from the live stream, which is fine if you find it. But I'm going to recess while y'all do that. And if any of the defendants need to use the restroom, y'all go do that as well.
Yes, they just went outside to get.
Well, Mr. Butts is here.
Is he here? I didn't even see him.
Go ahead.
Any work? All right. Now proceed.
Yes, please do.
So understanding the court's ruling in regards to Detective Dennis not being able to testify about subliminal messages or anything like that, and just going really to the basic issue of what he was qualified for, I'm just going to take my direction from the transcript that was thankfully sent to us by Ms. Persefield, as well as the court's actual order. Let me say first that the Daubert hearings were held initially back in December of 22, but I think Detective Dennis, if I'm remembering correctly, was one of those who we weren't able to do then, so he may have been in 2023.
Okay.
That notwithstanding, I don't have any recollection of the detective being questioned or talking about his ability to interpret lyrics as part of his expertise. And so if we're relying on what the court ordered or what the court ruled, I look at page 6 of the court, and I know you have it in front of you.
I do.
The court's order, which was drafted by the state.
It's adopted by the court, though, so that's
Right.
really neither here nor there. Go ahead.
Right. And so I just know that there is nothing in there where he is qualified to testify about anything in regards to any lyrics, in regards to interpretation of rap lyrics, nothing in regards to his training or his qualification thereof. So we'd maintain our position that he is not qualified to testify
Okay,
about
well,
what the state intends to qualify.
I thought that what y'all were looking back at was the live stream of the Daubert hearing.
We couldn't find it.
Okay. Well, the order on page 5 says that Detective Dennis also quote, has extensive experience in evaluating their social media and communication practices, unquote. So if nobody can answer for me one way or another what it covered, and you maintain that you don't think it covered this, or you don't know what it covered, I'm happy to just have him come in here and let's hear his expertise on that and go on with it.
We're fine, because we do not accept that when the court says communication patterns that they're talking specifically about rap lyrics. That's our position.
I don't know. Let's get him in here. If nobody can remember. And we don't have a transcript. Yeah, I need the detective, please. And Ms. Hilton, did either of y'all handle the Daubert on this witness?
No, Your Honor. And what he was qualified in is a gang expert, and I am positive he talked about how gang members use music.
Were you there for it?
I was present.
Okay.
And
is this from your memory?
This is from my memory, how music can play a role in gang promotion, how music can play a role in gang, in the promotion of the gang. And that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about lyrics and musicology, but how does music play a role in the game?
Do you recall the Daubert hearing
November.
involving you
Yes.
in this case?
Yes.
Do you remember whether you testified to your expertise and experience in terms of looking at lyrics and songs and
Yes.
using those in your
Yes.
gang investigations?
Yes.
Okay. Given that, anybody want to voir dire him on that topic, not his expertise, but whether he in fact testified about that already in the Daubert hearing?
Can I say
Yeah.
something else? We talked about lyrics the last time I was here with the halftime song, me and Mr. Adams. Also, the last time I testified, the second time.
Is it going to be anything beyond that? That same type of testimony?
No, that's it, Your Honor. I mean, it is how do gangs use music, period.
What's your question going to be?
Whether or not he is qualified to do any interpretation of music, rap lyrics, as relates to his expertise in gangs. Not whether or not he's familiar with communication patterns of gangs, but specifically whether he can look at a particular rap lyric and make any interpretation about what that means to gangs, specifically in regards to this case.
Is that something that was already covered in the Daubert hearing?
Yes.
All right, we're not going to recover it. I mean, I don't have any reason to not believe this witness.
Understood.
Okay. Let's get the jury. Well, honestly, we should just let the jury go out to lunch at this point. How long are we going to be with this witness?
Your Honor, probably about another hour and a half, if that.
All right. Do we know whether lunches are here yet? They're not. All right.
All right, ask for continued objection in regards to that, please.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to get you back out here only to tell you that I'm going to release you for lunch. I sort of had a thought about something when y'all were on the way out that I think we need to probably take care of before we continue with the testimony of this witness. So I'm going to release y'all for lunch, and if y'all could be back at 1:15, please. Thank you. Okay, you can go ahead and be seated. So actually, in the last 2 seconds, Ms. Persefield has received the rough of the Daubert hearing. So she's going to send that out to everybody. And if it's already resolved, then it's resolved and we can all just go to lunch. If not, we'll stick around here, do that little bit of a Daubert hearing, and then go to lunch. So just give us a few seconds, or, well, a few minutes. All of it. So Honestly, you know what? Ms. Persefield, how about you be looking, and why don't we just go ahead and do our mini Daubert?
Your Honor, we found
Yeah.
it online too. We could share it if you want to do it that way too.
Oh, if you found it and we have an answer, great.
No. We have the YouTube position.
Oh.
Didn't watch it yet.
How long? I mean, I would imagine it's pretty long, right?
It's an hour.
I have it, but I didn't see the length.
I was here for an hour.
Unless that's searchable.
I was here for an hour.
You were here for an hour?
Yes, in my Daubert here.
Okay. I don't think it's.
Wasn't here long.
Yeah. Yes,
That is so cool.
most of the time. So, if you give
For
me
like words?
yes,
That's amazing.
if you give me a few minutes,
Okay.
we'll know if this one is searchable.
Did you send it to me? Somebody be looking at the transcript that we have, and
Can you share the YouTube link with the state?
This is sharing with the state recording right now.
Thank you.
yeah, I think it just takes a minute on our internet for things to get. Detective Dennis clearly testified about lyrics and understanding what's going on in the music, and it maybe just meaning something to the average listener and other people, to other things to members in a gang. So
That's page 16.
well, what I'm looking at is page 51, but this was covered and he was qualified. So I'm satisfied.
Page
51, 52,
41.
41. $55. $16. All right, so he's qualified. We're breaking for lunch. See y'all back at 1:15.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank y'all.